Thanks so much to all my patrons. Join now to help support the channel and help pick the books that I review. Link in the description. And I am done. Okay, so I just got done reading House of Chains. This is book 4 of Malazan, Book of the Fallen by Steven Erikson, and I want to give you my unedited thoughts upon finishing this book, which was literally just right now. So, yep, not a big surprise here, but I loved it. I'm giving this 5 out of 5 stars. And yeah, it's great. It's one of my... Look, this is my favorite series of all time. Of course I'm going to love this book. But I got to tell you, this is my reread, and I did not like it as much as the first time that I read it. There's some flaws here that everybody talks about that didn't really impact me the first time I read it. And as I'm reading it here, they all really jumped out, and it definitely impacted my experience on this one. And so I'm reading this the whole time going like, yeah, I definitely don't like this one as much as the others. And then I had to I'm reading multiple books at the same time. I'm reading a book to my kids. I'm doing an audiobook. I bounce between different things. But I kept thinking, like, this is the book that I love the most out of all the books that I'm reading. I love it, but I don't like it as much as the others. It's still a 5 out of 5, but it's just hard to compete with some of these top tier, like, the top of the 5 out of 5s. As some of these other books, the other 3 have been for me. And this one has some problems. So let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about a little bit about what this is, what Malazan is, for those of you that watch this channel. Maybe you randomly clicked on this. You keep hearing me talk about it. You hear a little bit about Malazan, but it's intimidating. And it is. But it's like the best. It's my favorite series. It's huge. It's 10 books, 10 very large books of hundreds of point of view characters and the most wacky, insane plots that are hard to follow sometimes. But it's incredible, and everything kind of fits together. You don't have to be very smart to read it. You just kind of have some patience, have some trust in the author, and it all kind of comes together. It's amazing stuff. And by this point in the series, book 4, we are getting reoccurring books in the same areas, because book 1 took place, over here. Book 2 takes place over there. Book 3 bounces back over here. Book 4 starts over here and moves over here. Book 5 starts way over there. It bounces all over the place. But this one, book 4, we do spend the entirety of the book in places that we're familiar with. And we do it in a different way, because this book is very famous for rapid jumping between characters. I'm not exaggerating when I say that there are well over 500 point of view characters in this series. Now, a lot of them are very tiny. I think it's over 500. But a lot of them are very small. And maybe it's like 200 something, I don't know, but it's huge. But it's constantly jumping. Like, the chapters are very long, 50 plus pages. In a chapter, you'll have them broken up into these little stories following a single point of view. But you'll have 10 different point of views, if not more, sometimes in a single chapter. And in this one, for many of these long chapters, it just followed one character. This character, Karsa Orlong, who is a barbarian type, like Conan the Barbarian's, like, way beefier and stronger and more caveman-like. But it follows this character. And you see their origin story, and you see them go on and how they integrate with the rest of the story. And, the books are set within, like, there's several little books within this major book. In one of the whole books, I forgot how many there are always in these. I think there's like 4, maybe 5, like, books. But one of the whole books is following this Karsa Orlong character. It's the only time, there's 4 books. So a quarter of this book follows this one character, which is crazy and weird because it never happens again. It never happened since, never happens again. Now, I felt like it did a very important thing because it really gives a very important backstory and really pulls you into this character that it has massive importance that we haven't really heard anything about up until this point. So Steven Erikson has to, like, slam the brakes, say, hold up, let's go back in time, bring you up to speed on who this character is, and then set him off in the world. Now, I don't know that it had to happen that way. I suspect that he was just having fun and doing something different because the writers will be like that sometimes. But I feel like it worked. But at the same time, it didn't work because it's a slow story. And Karsa is not a good person. And the first time I read it, I think because I had finally latched onto a point of view character I was seeing for a long time, they were cool, they were doing these important things, and I liked this character, even though they did heinous things.
reading this more, I definitely disliked this character more. The heinous things impacted me more, and I kept thinking, like, yeah, I definitely don't like Karsa. So I have to spend so long with them. Now, I get a lot of other things too, and I got some cool plot points too, so I didn't hate the experience, but it's like I wish I had that other stuff going in, because by the end of the story, when Karsa is just one bit piece in this whole big thing, it was firing on all cylinders, and it worked, and I liked that injection of this bad, brute character every now and then, but I don't want the whole thing about it. I don't know that I want the whole thing about any character. Well, I take that back. A whole book on Whiskey Jack or some of these characters would be pretty cool. But in general, you know, you can be too much of something can be rough here. So there's that. But then you also had this, like the whole plot points of the book is just kind of finishing off this story arc of the whirlwind. You have this desert goddess who inhabits a woman and then eventually a different woman to kind of return her power and to unleash devastation across the continent, and is her goal. And so you've got this army coalescing, and then you have this other army coming to take it out. And so it's this promise of a huge clash towards the end. And I guess I can give some very mild spoilers because it's not that much of a spoiler in the series, but you have the whirlwind, you have the main character here is related to the main character coming to oppose them, and the person coming to oppose them does not know this. And so it's a fun, very interesting dynamic where you have, and it's constantly bouncing between them, and this character who has these deep passions for their sibling and knows a lot about them and hatred towards them and love towards them, and the other who's bumbling into this, and this catastrophe you know is going to happen. You don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it's going to be tragic, and you see this tragic nature being written on the wall. And I think in a lot of other series, you'd be thinking the whole time, like, how are these characters going to get out of this, right? Obviously, this horrible thing's not going to happen. But then in something like Malazan, you're like, obviously, this is going to happen, and I just have to, like, watch this train coming for a very long time. And so it's just kind of a depressing feeling. There was a lot of, there wasn't a lot of, like, happiness in this story. It definitely was very grim. At no point was there any hope, and reading it back, there was a lot of moments I just kind of was like, oh man, I don't want to have to read this again. Not in a boring, but a brutal, and, I like these stories to have an element of like heroics to them, or everything was worth it and there was a reason at the end of the day. And then to read a story where it kind of just doesn't have that, and it doesn't feel like that. In one hand, it's great, and it's surprising, it's different. And on the other hand, it's like, there's a reason that stories aren't usually written like that, right? But still, I mean, a beautifully written story. The prose is incredible. The characters are, more perfect. More perfectly written characters are coming into the screen. The plot is so rich and deep, and the world building is crazy, So there's so many positive things here. But then I just think I'm comparing it to all the other books. I know the next book is incredible. I know the one after that's incredible. I know all of the rest of them are incredible, except for one of them. Number 9, I'm not looking forward to. But I've got like 4 out of 5 books that I just can't wait to read. And then so I'm just kind of like pushing through this one, kind of wanting to get to those others. But ultimately, still great. I think it's better on the first read than rereads, but I'm giving it 5 stars. It's great. And just really shows how wonderful this series is when I can have such criticisms about a story, but still ultimately love it. And think of it as, a top all-time book. But yeah, and now it's behind me, and we get to look forward to some of like the truly, truly all-time great books with Midnight Tides, which will be coming up soon. And I'm obviously, is it Midnight Tides next? Is that what's up? Yeah, Midnight Tides. Yeah, Midnight Tides. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. Hopefully I'll start that in the next month or so, and I'll be back to talk to you about this incredible, incredible story. So that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, happy reading to you. Thanks again to all my patrons, with a special shout out to my Ascendant tier and Librarian tier patrons: Amy, Alex P, Anna G, Brady K, Doust, Darren, Jerry,
Jonathan, Nev's Book Channel, Ron Reich, Ryan L., Sydney Baker, Anna, Blair, Eric Cannon, Joe UK, Kat Mick, Ricky Iman, and Sky. Thanks for sticking to the end of this video, and if you want to watch some more content from my channel, click over here and I've got some good videos for you. Thanks so much.